Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Frankly Speaking on Fridays podcast. I am your host, Frank Pador. It is currently October 28th, 2022, 6:21 p.m. Eastern Time. I would have started sooner, too. I was having technological problems that you all don't care about, nor probably need to know about. So, let's dive right into it. How are you? How's your week? What's going on? What is news? What has happened? What hasn't happened? All these things are very important in which to ask yourself, and also just for me to ask you in reminder, because we all need to answer those questions. That is how we actually keep track of our progress, not only as far as like a career goes, as far as, development outside of our inner selves, but then there comes our inner selves. What are we feeling? What are we thinking? How are we doing? And you have to answer that honestly. And that is the most difficult part, is because we want to hide. We don't want to answer those questions, not honestly. When you ever go up to, a cashier or waiter and you say, oh, how are you? Or they say, hello, thank you for doing this. How are you? Generally, your response is just, I'm good. How are you? Same. That's just, you're just brushing away the truth. When I absolutely understand it's fine. You're not going to go and just be like, oh, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm thinking about killing myself. How about you? If someone answers that, I would say be concerned. But when you ask yourself that, how are you? Don't say I'm good or, a friend of mine, Velocifasa, he would always say, living the dream. And at times, I believed it, but the more that time developed, I believed it less, just because it was a standard, living the dream. For me, and for a long time, it was always, I'm tired, but, I'm here. Or basically, it was always, I'm tired. And while that is very much the truth, I am tired, sleep deprivation, sleep apnea, restless leg syndrome, sleepwalking nowadays. It's still avoidance, and it's not revealing to others, especially to those that I know care about me. It's just, I'm hiding, and I'm not being honest. And if I'm not being honest with them, which is understandable to a certain degree, you have to be honest with yourself. And that's where it's difficult to answer those questions. Well, how are you? Well, I'm uncertain about many things, job-wise, financially, career-wise even. Like, job-wise is fine, but, it's not paying enough that I would like in order to be able to live comfortably, and, just things are difficult. A lot of stresses simultaneously. That's an honest answer. And that's something that you have to address yourself in your own time. Sooner is always better than later. But be honest with yourself. Write those generic questions out. How are you? How are you feeling? What do you plan on doing? I don't want to say become like a student counselor and be like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You can do that too, actually. But be honest with yourself. And I want you all to do that. Be honest with yourself. How are you today? Is there something you can do about how you're feeling in order for it to go in a way that you want to feel? And that's something that I've been trying to do this entire past week. And it's been difficult because sleep hasn't really been there. But that's my challenge to you this week, my dear listeners. Ask yourself openly and honestly, how am I doing? How am I feeling? What's going on with me? What can I be doing more? What should I be doing less of? Who am I associating myself with? That's another important one. They are not wrong when they say, I can't think of the general saying, but who you surround yourself with is who you ultimately become. If you're around a crowd that just is going nowhere, you're going to go nowhere too. You need to associate yourself with individuals who strive for betterment, who are doing things, have plans. It's a facade to live the life and luxury of someone doing nothing and just skeezily getting by. That's not a life you want. There's too many unknowns. The only reason why they gotten by that far is just because of luck. What if they break a leg, break an arm, get a disease, have to go to the hospital? How are they going to skeeze their way out of that with no reliable income and with no career prospects? Can't. You just can't. So, reevaluate yourselves. I'm trying to do the same. In all honesty, there's a lot that I dislike about myself right now. And I'm trying to figure out how I went from the person that I know I was, who I liked a lot better than who I am right now, and how I came to be, and what I can do in order to become the person that I see myself being, who I was in the past. Well, mostly of the past. Life is rough and it changes you in a lot of ways, and it's difficult to come back from it. So, my dear listeners, with this podcast, I don't know what episode it is. I've lost track, and I didn't check because I'm lazy and I was dealing with the technical stuff. But here's to you, my dear listeners. Here's to me, asshole in a room with a microphone, and here is to the Frankly Speaking on Friday's podcast. Prost. So, my week was fine for the most part, Normal stuff. Oh, I will say, though, to the dear listener who sent in a request through the email address that you can even contact me, fsofpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you, one, for your inquiry. I will involve poetry reading next podcast. You sent it early to me. I did read it, but life kind of stirred things a tizzy. But yes, thank you for listening, one. Two, yes, I do remember you. In that job, you were always one of my favorite ones in which to talk and associate myself with, so thank you for remembering me, and yes, it is mutual. And yes, I will go ahead and try to reintroduce, well, not even reintroduce, but introduce just one poem. And I'll try to make it thematic as to what I am going to discuss on the podcast. But yeah, adding poetry, and I know I need to do more bedtime stories. I am so sorry that I fell behind on the bedtime stories. I've been thinking about it a lot, just because my roommate Shelbyst and I, Queen Shelbyst, excuse me, we've been rewatching the Disney animated renditions of princesses. And, a lot of that is based off of the Grimm Brothers fairy tales. And I know it was one of my goals to be able to narrate in all those. So, yes, I will see what I can do about the poetry. I'll introduce that next week. And I'll see what I can do about those bedtime stories. Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for the congratulations of the podcasts. It's awesome. Just being able to talk and thankfully having a receptive audience. So thank you so much for your email. I'll see what I can do about all that. So now that I've addressed that, let me just say that, yeah, this week has just been normal for me. It's been revealing in certain matters, and it's been difficult in other matters. The difficult part of it is just how life has been. I think I described a little bit last week of how the state of Indiana is coming after me for $11,225. I have sent in the necessary documentation in order to begin to appeal that. Disagree, don't want, you're wrong, and I may or may not get a hearing. We'll see. I bought myself some time, and I've already contacted a law services of some sort in order to be able to have representation if the hearing does need to happen. And it's going to take some time, and I may have to do that hearing sometime close to Christmas. So that's going to be oodles of fun. But that's out of the way, and I have time to breathe and collect and prepare if need be. Work has been going okay. You know, just doing work, talking insurance, selling policies, telling people about this or that, and billing. Today was nothing but billing questions. My God. But it's part of the job. I wish some people would get back to me so I can start selling them some life insurance policies. That's the thing, is that when it comes to insurance, it is indeed there for a reason. And life insurance is one of those things where it is indeed crucial. I have to write myself a new policy just because the one that I have right now is not good for me. Not at all. So I need to, it's not that it's not good. It's just, the death value is not enough. It's only $10,000. And when my parents wrote that for me 30 years ago, $10,000 in the year of 1992 might have actually seemed lucrative. 30 years later, inflation killed $10,000. Good luck. You can afford one cremation. Good luck trying to afford everything else associated with a human death. So I need to get a better policy. I need to write a better policy for myself. I'm not going to describe exactly what I'm going to get, but it's certainly not going to be a universal life policy, neither options 1 or 2. If any of that interests you and you want to know more, email me. Let me know if you want me to talk about life insurance or just insurance in general on the podcast. Remember, that is fsofpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, I need to write myself a new life insurance policy. I also need to write myself a new PAP, which is a personal articles policy, in order to be able to better protect and ensure protection and replacement amongst all my equipment that I use here in the studio. You can do it. And expands widely. Did you know that you can utilize, at least within the state of Indiana, a personal articles policy in order to protect exotic birds and horses? It's true. It's interesting, but it's true. At least through the company that I work for. So, that's basically my life. Or at least this week, as of right now. I have an audition tomorrow, which I prepared. Oh, that's the other thing. Real quick, to the best of my ability. Shelby and I, as a result of watching these Disney princess animations movies, we have noticed a reoccurring actor, not only on stage and television, but also within these animated series. And it's David Ogden Stiers. And he is best known for his work on MASH as Charles Emerson Winchester III. He is best known for the clock on the original animated series of Beauty and the Beast. And Pocahontas, he is that governor character. And I was in a session with my therapist, not this past Wednesday, but the Wednesday previous to that. And we were just kind of like bouncing around the idea. I don't know if it originated with he and I or not. Maybe Shelby and I. Memory's foggy. But it's like maybe we should typecast my voice. And when Shelby and I were watching Pocahontas, and David Ogden Stiers comes onto the scene, onto screen, He's, of course, because of his voice and just himself, how he's able to present himself. He's a very egotistical, pompous type of individual. And that's generally his characters that he has always done. Intelligent, without a doubt, but just pompous. And like about, maybe a fifth, less than, of us watching the movie, Shelby's like, yeah, I think we need to typecast your voice, which I'm okay with, in all honesty. And I need to be the voice that we think that we, or the type of character, was 1, be villainous, 2, be someone who is also intelligent, and 3, someone who is not necessarily like having a full-blown God complex, although I think I might be able to pull that off, but someone who is publicly and openly displays that I am better than you. And I think that my voice does indeed fit that. And I am absolutely okay with being a villain. I would love that, in all honesty. So, being a voice for villainous intentions, I selected a new monologue for the audition tomorrow morning. Well, my near afternoon, technically. And it is a monologue from originally Netflix's Daredevil of Wilson Fisk. I'm not going to do the monologue, but that type of personality, someone that is intelligent, someone that is devious, has very malicious intentions in order to be able to accomplish and do what he feels and wants to do. So, if you have any character in mind that fits that description for monologues or just something interesting to watch, in all honesty, again, email me, fsofpodcast@gmail.com. I initially initiated that type of description to my Twitch channel when we were streaming last week. By the way, twitch.tv/fapismplays is where you can see me game along with Shelbeast, generally. Queen Shelbeast, excuse me. And that's where this Fisk monologue came from. And I completely forgot about the Netflix rendition of him, which is great. I love that actor. I've seen him all throughout my life and didn't realize it until I became more focused on acting. He is great. So, pros to him. So, that's basically my week. Let's get on to something that is associated with my week, but transitions into the topic of today. As some of you, maybe not all, may or may not know, I am not necessarily a religious man. I know, those words by themselves, you're like, where is he going with this? I am not atheist. I was baptized Roman Catholic. I work in an office who primarily are consistent of Christians. And I own so many mythology books and religious texts that you wouldn't know where my denomination would be. And the reason for that is because I'm agnostic. And I'm agnostic for many reasons. However, it has come to my attention through one conversation, which actually may have occurred last night. Shelby and I were watching The Crown, and it was about we're in like the 3rd or 4th season, where Prince Charles' mother gets, flown in order to be away from the war that was happening. And she's basically, full-blown Mother Teresa at this point. And we got talking about a specific word which I've evidently misconstrued my entire life. And that word is faith. All throughout my life, I have always thought of faith always referring to religion, to God, to the church, to whatever scripture it may be that someone believes in. It always comes to faith. Well, I have faith in Christ. I have faith in Allah. I have faith in the holy words. And as a result of that, as a result of my upbringing when it comes to religion, which is loosey-goosey, but my definition of faith always turned back to, oh, you're faithful, so you're religious. Turns out that is not the case at all. And because of my belief and my understanding of the word faith, I was very much without it for a long time. Because to me, the word faith means believing in something which is higher than yourself, that you rely on, that you need within your life. People will be like, well, I had my faith and I was able to get through it. And to me, I'm like, no, you got through it. Those thoughts might have helped encourage that, but that's not, to me, faith. That's just logically twisting and mentally twisting a perception of reality that you have in order to be able to muster through whatever type of trouble you might be having. So when Shelby and I were talking about this, she's like, no, faith doesn't always have to mean religion. Faith doesn't have to always reference something which is above you, which is greater than you. Faith can just be beside you, equal. And some examples that she gave were, you could have faith in music, something that gives you, respite, essentially. You can have faith in cats because they're always reliable and dependable to be able to just make you laugh or give you a little bit of just a de-stressor as you pet it. It doesn't have to resort to religion. So then when she asked me, what am I faithful in? What do I have faith in? Do I have faith in myself? No, I don't. I don't have faith in myself. I should, but I don't. Do I have faith in literature? Because she knows that when I do read, I love reading. I'm a slow reader, but I love reading. So she's like, do you have faith in reading? I'm like, no, I don't have faith in reading. Because I don't find comfort in these books. I find knowledge, or I find different opinions upon a topic of which I'm interested in. That's not, to me, faith. That's just wordings and collaborations amongst one person and their publicist, or multiple people and a publicist. Well, she's like, okay, well, do you find faith in music? I know you love music. Yes, I do love music, but no, I don't find faith in music. I find a type of comfort within it. I love it. I enjoy playing it. I enjoy listening to it. But I don't consider that faithfulness or faith. And this really stuck with me. We eventually paused the conversation and was basically just saying, okay, agree to disagree. I'm like, I guess so. I don't know enough about the word or the context or the connotations which may or may not come about it. Because again, to me, in my childhood, it always resorted back to religion or God or a God. And being agnostic, it just the word faith and religion, to me, never resonated well. So when I was at work, we had some downtime today. And I started doing some research because I just couldn't get the word out of my mind for the possibility that a word which could be actually very helpful to myself and potentially many other people has been misconstrued so many times. And if you go into Google and you simply type in the word faith, this is what pops up. Dictionary definitions from Oxford Languages. Faith, noun, definition 1, complete trust or confidence in someone or something. The example given, this restores one's faith in politicians. That's an oxymoron. Similar words are trust, belief, confidence, conviction, credence, reliance. Definition number 2. Strong belief in God or in the doctrines of a religion based on spiritual apprehension rather than proof. The example, bereaved people who have shown supreme faith. Similar words, religion, church, sect, denomination, persuasion. So they're kind of, my association with the word I don't think is entirely wrong just because of the fact that that is number 2. But number 1, complete trust or confidence in someone or something. You can have complete trust in your cat to be an asshole. You can have complete trust that this song is going to make you cry. I guess that is faith. And I kind of went a little bit further with it in order to look up some articles just to be able to be like, what am I actually feeling, looking for? So I found an article on wanderlustworker.com, which doesn't sound exactly what it should be, but maybe it is. And the article is 5 reasons why having faith is so important. I don't have an author. I presume it might be this Robert Cannat, because for some reason there's a picture of a book, a cover called "Fuck Failure: How to Persevere Through the Tough Times," written by him. So I want to presume, but I don't know. And it writes, why is faith so important? Sometimes when things don't go according to plan, we lose faith not only in ourselves, but also in any potential outcome in our lives. Failure will do that to you. When we experience life's monumental failures, it's easy to lose hope and even faith. But what's the difference? Faith, at its core, is deep-rooted in the expectation of good things to come. It goes beyond hope. While much of hope lives in the mind, faith is steeped in the heart and the spirit. It can't be explained away by reason or logic, or be understood through a single dimension. While life can be hard at the best of times, faith is the knowledge deep down inside that things will get better. It's taking the next step when you can't see the entire staircase. Simply put, life would fail to have reason if we didn't have faith. We couldn't drive our cars without faith that someone wouldn't cross the divider and crash into us. If we didn't have faith, how could we fly in an airplane, a metallic machine soaring at 35,000 feet in the air? Without faith, how could we move from one moment to the next without completely second-guessing every last thing that we did? Without faith, I did it again! Without faith, We couldn't expect that things would turn out all right for us no matter what the situation might be. Faith, then, is just as important as the air we breathe. While the oxygen in the air nourishes the body, faith nourishes the heart and the soul. It's the energy that courses through every single fiber and cell within our beings. It's part of every muscle and every strand of thought. It is the fundamental foundation of our existence. Simply put, the importance of faith cannot be underestimated. People have moved mountains with their faith. Even when situations seemed dire and bleak, it was their faith that carried them through. There's little to no explanation for it in the physical realm. It's the metaphysical fiber that binds us all, carrying each of our deepest wishes and desires. That's where faith lives. Unfortunately, some people don't believe in things that they cannot see. They explain things away due to other causes and effects, failing to find the small miracles in life that exist and work in our favor on a constant basis. There's an enormous level of importance attributable to having faith in life. 5 reasons to have faith. Faith isn't just a notion that some people hold onto in tough times. Faith is an important element to all human life on earth. Life is precious, but it can also be remarkably difficult at times. Faith is what helps to get us through, illuminating the pathway in times of darkness, helping to give us strength in times of weakness. Without faith, we are nothing. Here are 5 reasons why having faith is so important in life. Number 1, the focused power of faith breeds abundance. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool. It can be used for good, but also go to waste when neglected or abused. In times of trouble, we tend to move away from positivity. We go from a state of abundance to a state of lack. But faith is the tool that helps replenish abundance in the heart and the spirit, not just in the mind. Whatever it is that we focus on in life, we get more of it. We focus on problems. We live solely in those problems and have difficulty moving past the negativity. Alternatively, however, when we focus on positivity and seek out solutions, we can resolve our problems and move from a state of lack back to a state of abundance. When we train our minds to think in abundance, we hold unwavering faith. We gravitate towards that. We attract good things because we believe in expecting good things to come. Similarly, when we believe and expect bad things to come, we also attract that into our lives. Faith is the pathway for abundance, so be sure to hold it at the forefront of your mind. Don't be afraid to expect the very best for yourself. This isn't about being selfish or aimlessly wishing for things. This is about the true, utter, deep down belief in your heart and your soul that things will improve and that you deserve the very best in life. Number 2, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. There's a powerful story in the Bible called the Book of Job, the story about a man named Job who was as astute as any man could be. He believed strongly in God and held high his faith. But the story goes that one day the devil paid God a visit. The topic of discussion, Job's faith. The devil revealed Job was faithful because he had been blessed with so much in his life, family, money, land, and respect. But the devil proposed that God should take any number of these things away from Job. Yes, but the devil proposed that should God take any number of these things away from Job, he would no longer be the faithful man that God helped him to be. The devil claimed that Job would curse God and that his point would be all but proven. God, of course, disagreed. So this agreement began when God began taking things away from Job's life. Over the course of these trials, Job loses everything that he had worked so hard to create over the years: his livestock, all his money, his family, his friends, and his health. However, even when his wife told him he should curse God, Job didn't. He remained faithful. Afterwards, God restored all of Job's worldly possessions, family, and health. To add to that, God multiplied what Job once had many times over. The moral of the story: what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Times might be bad, and you might want to throw that proverbial towel, but never lose faith, for a person without faith is likened to a stream without water. They would cease to exist. See, to me, I'm putting a pause on the article. To me, there are other ways to be able to put faith into action, which do not involve religious connotations. And while I don't like that story, and while God, what if God lost that? Then what? The devil wins, and then God's just like, oh, I guess you were right. Would he still restore the exact same thing, or would Job have been, given to the devil for his soul? I have no idea. I've never read this story. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, number 3, faith helps you to discover your purpose in life. Going through life and all of its ups and downs can take a toll on us. At times, it's enough to question our very existence. But through all the trials and tribulations we might face, it's faith that gives us that helping hand. It works to guide us in the right direction, moving us towards and allowing us to discover our purpose in life. This doesn't happen overnight. Usually when we're faced with a difficult situation, it gets harder before it gets better. Little by little, a part of us is broken until one day we dig deep down inside and somehow find the strength we needed to make it through. That strength comes from our faith. Whether it's your faith in God or in something else, that faith shall set you free. Everything in life is far easier to get through when we have faith. It's the guiding light that helps us push towards our purpose. And I'm thankful that they differentiate the fact, this word is used in a religious fact, but also something else, which is exactly what the definition was previously: complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Yay. Number 4, faith trumps stress, anxiety, and fear. It's easy to allow stress, anxiety, and fear to run our lives. We go from moment to moment worried about one thing or another. Sometimes those worries manifest themselves into highly stressful situations, causing not only mental anguish, but physical problems as well. There's a clear and documented connection between stress and the increased likelihood of disease and illness. When we allow our minds to move into a realm unchecked, there's no telling of the damage that can be done. But it's faith that helps to keep those things at bay. Even when we have no reason to believe that things will get better, it's through faith that our situations do improve. When you hold the utter expectation of that in your mind, no challenge is too difficult. Learn to harbor faith and use it to eliminate stress, anxiety, and fear. Think back to situations in the past when you made it through something you thought was insurmountable. Believe and expect that good things will happen, and they will. This isn't about ignoring your problems. This is about knowing that your situation will improve deep down inside your heart and soul. And number 5, it acts as the pathway to finding solutions. Faith is the pathway to finding solutions in life. Keep in mind that human beings were made to thrive and not just survive. If you're only surviving, there's far greater in store for you. There's a pathway to all of your solutions, and that pathway is steeped in faith and the expectation of greater things to come in time. No matter what the situation is, no matter how bad or dire you think it might seem, your faith can and will get you through it. You must accept that as fact and hold on to the expectation of greater things to come. Don't stop pushing or searching, for an answer to help resolve whatever situation you might be facing in your life. If you really want something in life, and I mean you really want it deep down inside, and you have a strong enough reason you absolutely must achieve it, faith is the thing that helps you to see that through. It's at the core of a persistent heart. Never give up on your hopes and your dreams just because you face some initial setbacks. Lean on your faith as often as possible, and you'll soon come to realize why having unwavering faith is so important in life. Yeah, again, with me, all that is good, great, fine, and dandy, but yeah, I see where they were trying to be. Yeah, it's God, it's religion, but I guess it's also this. It seemed more like I guess it's also this, rather than just 50-50. Yes, faith can reference religion or God, but it can also reference everything else, all the other examples I have previously been given on the podcast. There is another article, but it's long, and it has an interesting title, which is Faith is Not the Same as Religion by Peter Thompson. This came out 12 years ago. Came out October 4th, 2010 at 5:30 Eastern Daytime. It looks like it's military time too, so in the morning. As always, these articles, these links are always in the description below. I'm not going to go into this, just because I want it to be left at the fact that if you don't have faith, if you're not a religious individual, maybe you should find faith, because I'm starting to think the same thing. Having something that I know that I can rely on for comfort, for strength and wisdom. And I know music is a great source of that. Maybe I do have faith in music. I know I have faith in my cats being assholes and gluttons. So why not music? Anyway, that is something that I'm going to think on, and I hope you do as well. But with that said, it's going to be a shorter podcast, and I do apologize for it, but I speak a lot nowadays on a daily basis, so my voice is actually hurting me. And I have to stream later today anyway. So, we're going to call it here for the podcast. I want to thank you all for listening. This is the Frankly Speaking on Fridays podcast. It is found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Email the podcast at fsofpodcast@gmail.com. Send in topics to suggest, articles of interest. Just say hello. Always welcomed. Always welcomed. And as I always say, keep practicing no matter what it is, so long it doesn't hurt you or anyone else. Keep practicing. I'm going to practice my interpretation of the word faith, and I hope you do the same if you haven't already. So, good night, everyone. Sleep well, sweet dreams. Thank you for listening, and until next time, au revoir.